These are the earrings that we're going to make. Here are the earrings in a few more color combinations. So let's talk about the materials we're going to need. For these earrings, you're going to need two 8 by 10 millimeter rondelle crystals, 12 4 millimeter bicone crystals, and you're also going to need seed beads in 3 sizes. You're going to need 11/0 seed beads, 15/0 seed beads, and 2 6 or 8 seed beads to connect the ear hook with jump rings. So let's get started. I'm using a size 10 needle with 6-pound fire line. You can use a smaller needle, size 12 if you want, since we are working with 15s, but this will work for these earrings. So I'm starting off with 4 11/0 seed beads, and I'm going to string that on. I'm going to go back up through those 4 seed beads to form a loop. Then I can tie a knot. After I've tied a knot, I can go through the next seed bead. I'll add a 15/0 seed bead, go through the next seed bead, add a 15, go through the next seed bead, add a 15, go through the next one, and add the fourth 15 and go through the next seed bead. To start my first strand, I'm going to go through the 15 that's on the corner of this square, the next 15 seed bead. Now that I'm coming out of the 15 on the corner, I can start my first strand. Start by putting 4 15s on, then an 11/0, a 4 millimeter crystal, and another 11/0. Put on 10 15/0 seed beads, and finally an 11/0, 4 millimeter crystal, and an 11/0. And string all of those on into my strand. Then I want to go back up through the last crystal and continue until I'm coming out of the seed bead after the first crystal. I want to turn this so that this strand is coming out of the left side of the square. I'll finish that first strand by adding 4 15/0 seed beads and going through the next corner, the next 15 seed bead. We're ready to make our next strand. Add 4 15/0 seed beads. Add an 11/0 4 millimeter crystal and an 11/0. And we'll add 10 more 15/0 seed beads. At this point, we want to hook back into this first crystal over here. So we'll go through the seed bead before the crystal and the crystal. We'll go through that seed bead on the end and back up through the crystal and the seed bead. Then we want to keep going up until we're coming out of the seed bead above that crystal. Add 4 15 seed beads and go through the next corner. 15 seed bead. At this point, I can snip this end so it's not in my way. Ready to make the next strand. Start by adding 4 15-0 seed beads. Then add an 11-0, 4mm and 11-0. Then we'll add 10 15-0 seed beads. Here we want to go through the seed bead in crystal and seed bead at the bottom. Go back up through the crystal and the next seed bead. And we want to go back up the strand we just made. And continue until we're coming out of the seed bead above the crystal. We'll finish the strand by putting on 4 15-0 seed beads and going through the next corner. We're ready to make our fourth and final strand. We're going to start with 4 15-0s. Then we add an 11-0, a 4mm and 11-0. Then we add 10 15-0 seed beads. Now we want to go through this bottom crystal one more time, going through the seed bead before the crystal and the crystal. Going through that bottom seed bead. And going back up through the crystal and the next seed bead. Then we want to continue up the strand. You can always tell which one it is because it only has one strand at the top. So I'm going to continue going up that strand until I'm coming out of the seed bead above the crystal. I'll finish this fourth strand off by adding 4 15-0 seed beads and going through the next corner, which is the one I started with. Now I'm going to go through the 4 11-0s at this center loop here, starting with the one closest to where I'm coming out of. 1, 2, 3, and 4. My next step is to put on the 6 or 8 seed bead that the jump ring will go through. So I'm coming up out of this 11-0 and I'm going to add the 6 or 8 seed bead. Then I'm going to go up through the 11-0 that's directly across from it. I'll go back through the large seed bead and go back up through the one I started with, the 11-0. And then I'll go back through the large seed bead. And for this next step, I want to go down through the middle of those 4 seed beads. So like the center, if I spread this apart, your needle should be coming out of the center of those 4 11-0s. Then I'm going to string on the center drop, which is the 8x10 rondelle crystal, the 4mm bicone crystal, and the 11-0. String that on. And then I want to go back through the 2 crystals and up through that center again. I want to reinforce that by going back through the large seed bead, back down through the middle, and through the 2 crystals. Through the seed bead at the end, back up through the 2 crystals and through the middle here. At this point, you can kind of pull the strands over the crystal, and we will finish off by going around the 11-0s in the center here and then tying a knot. So we have turn enough corners. So go through the closest 11-0, go through the next one, go through the next one, and through the last one. And here's where I can put my needle under some thread to tie a knot. Go through the loop once, through it twice, and pull. So I'll just snip that end. Now I'm ready to add the ear hook. So I take my jump ring I open it, I feed it through the large seed bead at the top, add the ear hook, and close it. And that is the finished earring.